Amorim to become the next manager of Manchester United. Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is going to centre around the ever-developing, snowballing, gathering momentum story that is Manchester United's pursuit and search for a new manager. Have they found it in Sporting Lisbon's Ruben Amorim, a manager who has been turning a lot of heads over in Portugal? Could he be the one to succeed Erik ten Hag, who of course was sacked from his position as head coach of the Red Devils earlier this week? We're going to be talking about this ever-developing news story. We're going to be talking about what could potentially be Manchester United's future under Amorim going forward and everything else in between. But before we go any further in discussing all of that and much more, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things are always and forever be greatly appreciated. Get involved in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. I'll make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure, down below. So please do use and abuse that comment section, people, and talk to me on this very intriguing, very interesting topic of discussion. Ruben Amorim to Manchester United. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk all of that stuff and much, much more. So the story is, on Monday, Erik ten Hag was sacked from his position as Manchester United head coach following a 2-1 defeat in controversial circumstances to West Ham United. And a few days have since passed, and during that time there's been speculation over who will succeed Erik ten Hag, and one name has seemingly been the front runner since the very beginning, and that man is Sporting Lisbon's Ruben Amorim, a guy who you will remember was one of the front runners seemingly to become the next Liverpool manager in the summer, of course, when Jurgen Klopp left the Reds. Liverpool decided to go in a different direction. That's why they appointed Arne Slot. Amorim stayed at Sporting Lisbon, and it seems as though, if reports and everything are seemingly to be believed, this deal could be about to be struck or announced officially in the coming hours, or at least the coming days. Amorim has been turning heads over in Portugal. So much so, of course, like I mentioned earlier, he was linked with the Liverpool job. He's been linked with maybe a few other jobs as well down the line, but seemingly has stopped and stayed at Sporting Lisbon to really master his craft, to perfect it, to obviously learn more, gather more experience. But it seems as though the Manchester United job is calling, and it's very difficult, and probably would be very difficult to turn down such an opportunity, even if United aren't exactly the Manchester United that they were under the Sir Alex Ferguson era. They are in the mud right now. They are a team that is in much need of some much needed surgery, much needed therapy, and a squad that is a mixture of promise, potential, dead wood that needs to be gotten rid of, and some that may or may not see better days under a different regime and a different manager. Ruben Amorim is a guy, like I say, who's been turning a lot of heads over in Portugal. He's the guy who brought the Portuguese league title to Sporting, breaking the dominance that both Benfica and Porto had held for so long. He brought it back after something of a just over 20-year hiatus away from Lisbon. He's been turning a lot of heads with his approach. He's a very attacking-minded manager. High press, high tenacity, high tempo, likes to win the ball in high up areas, to transition defence into attack very quickly, plays a high line. The guys and football is very entertaining, to say the least. What we do know as well about Amorim is that he seems to favour a 3-4-3 approach. Now that 3-4-3 can be very flexible, very interchangeable, and can adapt depending on the opposition at hand. It's not necessarily a formation that you see a lot of in the Premier League, although it has been sporadically used over time. It did seem for a while like it was becoming more and more popular, but it seems 4-3-3 is more or less what many teams over in this country seem to play. But the 3-4-3 can transition somewhat into that, and obviously much more. It's very flexible. It focuses on wing play, which of course Amorim does like to favour, and it does require obviously a lot of movement from the front three in terms of finding those little pockets of space that they can really cause damage to the opposition in when transitioning defence into attack. So when you look at that Manchester United squad, the fullbacks are going to be a big part going forward, which will probably see a lot of movement there, and we'll probably see a lot of maybe transfer targets moving for that direction and for that position. And obviously maybe the front three as well could, in Marcus Rashford's case, for example, could reignite his career maybe. Or for Alejandro Garnacho, it could only enhance and maybe further project his career. So it's going to be interesting to see if this obviously does materialise and what the future may hold for certain players in key roles that, of course, Amorim would love to kind of take hold of and to kind of mould into his image. Be interesting to see if he can sort of replicate the kind of form and display that he's shown at Sporting into a different league that is a lot more tenacious, a lot more ferocious, and a lot more physically challenging over in this country. Whether he can replicate what he's done at Sporting over onto this Manchester United squad, but maybe enhance it a little bit, given, with all due respect to the Portuguese league, like I say, the sort of upgrades in certain areas that the Premier League has over the Portuguese league, with all due respect. But it's not as if the Portuguese league is completely alien to a lot of English fans and a lot of English clubs. A lot of clubs have obviously been looking at a lot of players that have been practicing their craft in the Portuguese league and obviously bringing them over to England. There's been a lot of players from Benfica and Porto and Sporting over the years that have obviously made that leap from the Portuguese league to the English Premier League. And now it seems, of course, that they've got managers over there that are obviously following suit. Amorim could be next in line for that. So it does seem like the Portuguese league is certainly gaining a lot more notoriety and a lot more speed over in England with the kind of players and managers that they are producing. And Amorim, like I say, is no different. Amorim is a guy, like I say, who's looked at by Liverpool a lot, looked at probably by a whole host of other teams as well. I think he was also linked with West Ham as well over the course of the summer and trying to replace David Moyes when, of course, the Liverpool move seemingly fell through. So there is a lot there to unpack with this guy. There's a lot there of promise and potential with this man. And like I say, he's very interesting and very unique in terms of his tactical approach, maybe a little bit more pragmatic in that, but as well as that, has the ability to turn and to make things a bit more ferocious, a bit more assertive, a bit more attacking minded. And of course, like I say, the difference in formation is going to be very interesting as well. So there's probably going to be a lot of attention needed on that back line, especially for the near future at the very least, to sort of mould into his image. What we have seen from Amorim before is a guy who is willing to be patient, a guy who has been what's the word I'm looking for, or word or phrase, a manager who has had to deal with a lot. And what I mean by that is obviously a guy who's had a lot of players and a lot of key players at that Sporting over the years be sold for big money, and he's had to make do with the players he's either had in his academy or the limited kind of budget that he's had with Sporting. Now, that won't necessarily be the case with Manchester United. I imagine Ineos will be throwing a lot of money at this sort of new project that they've kind of got under Amorim. And obviously with their own manager now, so they will definitely want to back their guy rather than Ten Hag, who was of course a product of previous regime and obviously the Glazers and everything. So this is essentially going to be their guy. They're going to throw a lot of money at it. They're going to try and do everything within their power to make this one stick, make this one work. And because of that, like I say, it will be somewhat different to his time at Sporting, but he's already shown the credentials and qualities that make a great manager in terms of dealing with the squad that he had upon arrival, and of course dealing with some of the academy products that Sporting have produced in the past. This guy is very good at working with some of the youngsters he's had. Look at the likes of Usman Diamonde, for example, as well as Inacio as well. Those two are very highly rated, very highly sought of from across many big clubs in Europe. Probably going to have a big European move at some stage in the near future. He could definitely do that with certain members of this Manchester United team. We haven't seen a lot of him yet, but the likes of Lenny Yoro, for prime example, a highly rated youngster who, like I say, for injury reasons, we haven't seen a lot of. He could definitely improve. Could definitely improve some of the other youngsters in that team. Garnacho, I've already mentioned. Across that front three, which is very interchangeable, very fluid, very flexible, he could definitely work wonders with him. And then, of course, there's Rasmus Højlund. Now, if Amorim can get his hands on Højlund the way that he had done with Victor Gyökeres to make him one of the most highly sought of, highly rated and highly wanted strikers in all of European and world football, then if he can replicate something very similar with the Danish striker, that's going to be a phenomenal sight for Manchester United fans and maybe even some FPL fans as well. So if he can replicate that, I'm sure that has got a lot of Manchester United fans watering at the mouth at the prospect of seeing Rasmus Højlund score plenty of goals and maybe even rival the likes of Erling Haaland for the Golden Boot. It could happen. He has certainly the potential to do so. If he can replicate the kind of stuff that he's shown at Sporting, this could certainly be one hell of an appointment by Manchester United and by Ineos. Is it perfect? Only time will tell. I feel like it's a gamble. It's a roll of the dice. But I did like this guy when Liverpool were linked with him. I didn't really know a lot about him, and admittedly, I still don't know a whole host about him. I don't know the full ins and outs. I know basically an outline, like I've given in this video, from the small amount that I have watched Sporting Lisbon. I don't watch the Portuguese Premier League religiously, admittedly. I just know Sporting from a couple of big Portuguese games that I've happened to catch, or I've seen them on Champions League nights or European nights. So yeah, I don't know the full ins and outs, but I know enough to give you a very basic outline as to what this guy favours, what this guy likes. And of course, like I said, I did a lot of my research for when he was being linked for the Liverpool job. And I'm not simply going to change my opinion on this guy just purely based on the fact that he's gone from being a Liverpool target to now a Manchester United target, and is likely, if Sky Sports are right on this, then it could be as early as today that he is announced as the next Red Devils manager. So I'm certainly not going to change my opinion. I certainly like the guy. I certainly like the manager he is right now. And of course, he's still got a lot of promise and a lot of potential to his name. He's relatively young for a manager. So with a bit more experience under his belt, and like I say, with what you would imagine would be, with all due respect to Sporting, certain players in the Man United ranks that are going to be better than Sporting, and obviously with a lot more money at his disposal as well, he's going to be able to bring in certain players, and maybe he can even use some of his Sporting ties to maybe bring over a couple of players that of course he's worked with Sporting before. It often does happen with managers that move. We saw it in the summer, for example, with Chelsea. What's the guy's name? I can't remember what what the Chelsea manager's name is now. I've just said it. I was going to say Maurizio Sarri for some reason. That was years ago. Enzo Maresca. Where did I get Maurizio from? I've got no idea. Enzo Maresca, we saw it in the summer of Enzo Maresca. He went from Leicester to Chelsea, and one of his first major signings was, of course, signing Keane and Dewsbury Hall from the Foxes. So it's not out of the realms of possibility for a manager to switch clubs and instantly go back to their old club to raid it from one or two players, and maybe using some of those Sporting ties, and with obviously some exciting prospects that Sporting have, it could again be a decent move for Manchester United to maybe maybe follow that kind of route. But yes, exciting times probably do lie ahead now for Manchester United, unfortunately. Obviously, as a rival fan, I've got my fingers and toes crossed that, of course, this falls flat on its face and it turns out to be an absolute failure. So, fingers crossed on that. But I have to be honest, I have to be open, and I have to be neutral, and obviously give my honest thoughts and opinions that I think this could be a really good move for Manchester United. I really, really do think this could be a very good move for Manchester United. I think it could be a missed opportunity by a lot of other teams, not necessarily Liverpool, because we are enjoying life under Arne Slot right now, but obviously only time will tell whether that was the right move or not. But yeah, I do think this could be a missed opportunity by a lot of other big European teams. And yeah, I do feel like this could be a project that Ineos are going to throw the absolute kitchen sink at in order to help try and work. And I feel like with the right tools behind him, with the right way of playing, and with obviously the right players, right positions and everything else, it certainly could work its magic. Is he going to be the guy to maybe take Manchester United back to being the pinnacle of the Premier League? I'm not so sure. Only time will tell. But I do feel like this would be a very good starting point for Manchester United for the long run. These are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the potential of Ruben Amorim being the next Manchester United manager? Let me know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. That'll make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure, down below in that comment section. So please do leave anything and everything that you've got to say on this intriguing and interesting topic in that comment section. Use it as that section. People would love to hear from you all. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and forever greatly appreciated. Thank you always for the support, whether it is continued or whether it is brand new. It means the world to me. I very much appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for that. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speak to you all again very, very soon.